Morning to you. Welcome along to Wednesday morning's OTB AM, the sports breakfast show on Off the Ball. That music means only one thing. It's World Cup Day. It's the Republic of Ireland versus Canada. It's do or die, and we're all in our jerseys. Adrian Barry has made his return. Good morning, Adrian.
Especially for the occasion. Good morning, Shane.
Only for the day that's in it. And good morning, Colm. How are things?
Hi, Shane. How are you?
How are things?
Well? I missed you. Missed you yesterday afternoon.
I did miss you as well. Yeah. It actually looks well. I was here, by the way. I just went home early to do a couple of interviews.
You don't need to explain yourself, Shane. It's fine. It's like, Jesus, it feels like a sort of a slightly weird conversation that you should be having off air.
I love the fact that the white is in the middle here.
It worked out well, didn't it?
It's the pick of the three. I'm not going to lie. It's the pick of the three.
It's a nice jersey.
Explain the background maybe behind the jerseys.
Well, it's David Moyer's jersey that he wore when he captained Ireland against Wales in Cardiff on the 9th of October 2017, which was, if everyone remembers, the night that James McLean rocketed in with his right foot, bottom right corner, it got Ireland the playoff against Denmark for the 2018 World Cup, which was a disaster. But that night was the zenith of the previous era. So this jersey, obviously here in studio there in the back behind the camera, and Moyer was in here himself a couple of years ago, left it here. So I texted him this morning, do you mind if I wear this?
Was it not that John was in, and because I was in contact with him around then, and I said, here, listen, have you any old thing that you might send us in? Expecting to know, as he was leaving, expected to never hear from him again. And about 3 days later, a package arrives in with boots and the jersey, and like he had been through the garage to pick out the best stuff. Was that not how it happened?
For people who are just listening, I also have the boots that David Moyer wore.
You were about to name them there,
night.
and then you found yourself sort of out of your depth.
No, I just only have one boot, so I didn't know whether to throw it.
Yeah, they're steel. They're a hybrid of steel and
rugby boot, aren't they?
They are a bit of like a rugby boot.
Mike there. Yeah, they're like a rugby boot.
And of course, like the background to the jersey being that yourself, and as you've said occasionally on the show, yourself and David Moyer were best friends growing up.
We grew up together and in the same estate. We say park in Cork. Do you say park in Monaghan?
As
a housing estate, we call it the park.
A housing park?
Yeah, we say like what park?
Housing estate in Monaghan.
What park? He's like, what park?
Close to estates. No, we call it housing estate.
I think it's a Cork thing, yeah. So anyway, we grew up in the same.
We call it housing estate.
We call it housing estate.
We grew up in the same estate, so we play football together. Yeah,
similar age.
Yeah, a few months.
That's it.
Apart, yeah,
best buds.
Yeah,
right.
And
you feel like is he? What sort of size is he compared to you? Would you be similar? Because I would have had him as a much bigger gentleman.
He'd be taller. Yeah, but he's probably slightly bigger. But he fits
the jersey out well, doesn't he? Like he's.
You see, this is the advantage.
Well, it's a long time since, like.
So I've obviously gone for, and apologies, Kev, I haven't texted Kevin Gaban. Unlike yourself, I haven't asked for permission to wear this. But as you'll see, Kevin Gaban.
Text him to ask him.
Yeah, I told you that a second ago. Go on, sorry.
Era versus France, 14th of November 2009. I think that's the difference in 8 years, even in international jerseys. The sizes were. This is more of a.
That's a bad one.
Even the players looked kind of baggy wearing it.
Yeah, I just.
Well, Cabana was like that sort of Lee Sharp, sort of loose.
Loose
situation. Anyway,
fit.
It worked on Kev. I hate that colour green. I wasn't mad about that jersey, but it's good to wear. It's poignant to wear it because Kev's on the show today.
It's not a nice jersey.
It's not a nice jersey, no?
No, I don't think so. No, the collar is weird.
It's over time. The passage of time has made me like it a little bit more.
And Shane asked us beforehand, who does this jersey remind you of, or was it yourself? And I said Stephen Ireland in his 6 caps. I think that was the jersey he wore.
Let us know in the comments, the YouTube comments, like aside from the number 3 obviously, which is over
Clinton probably actually.
Who does the jersey remind you of? Is Clinton Morrison?
Yeah.
I said Andy O'Brien, but Andy O'Brien is maybe a previous one. It was a previous one.
It was a weird one. And I'm going for the John Giles look, of course.
Oh yeah.
A John Giles OG.
Yeah. You know his stuff.
Love those jerseys.
Yeah.
Nice jersey, yeah.
Exciting stuff, lads, because if we draw against Canada, it's not the end of the world, potentially, but a defeat is a disaster.
We need to play for a win today.
The last time we can hype.
We need to win. Do we need to play for a win? That is the question of the day.
Well, look, we'll be with Kathleen in a few minutes from Perth, and Kathleen was talking about on the World Cup show with Sinead O'Carroll and Will O'Callaghan yesterday about the likelihood and their predictions, and I think Kathleen, not to speak on her behalf too much, is hoping for a 2-1, but is a bit more
where are we going to get 2 goals from? Not to be pessimistic.
Set pieces. Look, like
we always say that
it took 70 minutes for us to get our first corner against Australia, and I think we ended up with a half a dozen, and 2 of those corners nearly went directly in. So McCabe and Connolly's delivery, fantastic. So two of those 6 could have easily have gone in.
You have to remember the quality of opposition you're playing against as well. But
they're the same. They're defensively minded.
I do think that an expectation, your desire for us to go and sort of score a few goals and to go gung-ho to win the game versus Vera Pauw's approach. They're going to be different things. Like, we've been watching the team for long enough now to know that she's never going to go throw caution to the wind here. She didn't throw caution to the wind in the opening game against Australia, when a lot of people were saying, should we get Amber Barrett on? Possibly even that she's looking at the goal difference going, actually 1-0 is not the end of the world here. If we hold on to this, 2-0 could see us out, 1-0 in the end actually might see us through. So I wouldn't be expecting her to go gung-ho for this. And I think a draw is not a bad result. A draw is a very good result.
A
very good result today.
And then Australia win by 2 goals against Nigeria tomorrow.
Preferably. Let's get Australia to go and blitz the group and walk through as group winners, and then do us a favour against Canada in the last game. And then if we can manage a draw today, and then we end up in a position where we have to beat Nigeria in the last round of games to go through, and I think that's an ideal scenario. I take that. If you're offering me that now in 5 hours' time, I'd take it.
I'm more nervous for this game than I was for the opening game. The opening game felt like an event.
It was an event, yeah, definitely.
This feels like a tournament, like a football match that has actual jeopardy.
I think you're right. Even though it's only 6 days ago, it's kind of a memory already. You were, Shane, you were covering the All Ireland hurling final build up for us, and you were in the Quaid household, weren't you?
It was on the
and
telly,
watched it there. That's an amazing memory, in Limerick, to watch the game there,
Random.
And then present the show the next day, talking about it. So. No, last Thursday really felt like something, and Kathleen gave this amazing, rousing speech just outside Stadium Australia, and it was just incredible. But it was that good.
Wow.
And it was really it was one of those days where it's genuinely a privilege, to actually be on air and talk about it. Whereas I think I agree with you completely. Today feels way more like a football match. It's just this is Jeopardy here. We need to get our business
I also
done.
think that's partly because we've shown now that we can live with that. We weren't blitzed out of it. We were possibly unfortunate in some regards not to get a draw out of it. I don't think there's too many people saying we should have won the game, but we are happy in this company. There's a breath now. We're okay.
And it's a 20,500 seater stadium as opposed to 80. It's going to be majority Irish fans as opposed to Canadian. There are a couple of things away from the football playing into our hands.
Totally.
Obviously the injury concerns to Louise Quinn and Heather Payne.
Yeah, Payne's a big one, isn't it? Because who's going to play on the right side if Payne doesn't? And that could mean a cabinet reshuffle, and also is the big question, is Abby Larkin going to start and Marissa Shiva not? But also on the other side, going back to this pure football aspect of it, Canada are going to have Jessie Fleming back, the creator, the Chelsea wonder, and that could be a big problem. But Canada are 7th in the world, reigning Olympic champions. Their defence are star-studded in terms of the clubs that they represent versus the Irish contingent. But it's not well in Canada. The federation's approach to the team is woeful. Kev again goes into detail about it later on, and there is a chance here. There is really a chance. A bit like last week when Sam Kerr was ruled out through the calf injury, there was a chance there, and we nearly got a point. And it's not like Canada are complete world beaters here, and that's, I suppose, why the real nerves are there and the trepidation is that there's no reason why Ireland couldn't get a result here. The thing with Canada is you could argue that they're a higher octane version of this Irish setup, so defensively minded, very, very solid, hard to break down, don't score an awful lot of goals themselves, which the stats show for the last number of games. So are they just a better version of Ireland? That's the question.
I'm almost concerned because Canada were unimpressive in the first game. Surely a team of that calibre can't do it twice in a row. Maybe it does happen. Maybe Canada are just off at the moment.
But I think we were talking about yesterday, it's like the French men's team in 2010 World Cup, where they had a lot of talent but all was not well. There was disharmony in the group.
World Cups where you make a bad start, it's not unknown that teams grow into it, but at the same time, it's not even something like a Six Nations or a tournament where you have a bit of time between. They're pretty bloody quick succession, and if there's any doubts start creeping into the camp about where you're going.
Now, in fairness, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the men's World Cup last November in the first game,
and then happened.
But I don't think Canada are in that league of that Argentina side, so that's why I think there's a lot of fear of it. What do you think is going to happen today, result wise? I daren't even think about it.
I'm going with my heart today, whereas I was going with the head very much in advance of the Australia game. I was very negative before the Australian game. Today I think we can nick a 1-0 win.
Sound like Gianni Infantino there. I thought you were going to.
I think that's an emotional call.
It possibly is.
Like on paper, you'd have to say that the likelihood is that we're not going to get anything out of this game. But like I said, I think that has slightly gone out the window a little bit just in the evidence of the first game. I think the players are increasingly acutely aware of our inability of scoring goals, right?
Yeah.
And you're not saying that for a second that they need reminding the fact that is it 1 goal in 5 of the last 6 games, whatever it is. They'll need no reminder of that. And it's not like they don't have a desire to score the goals. But I do think that I think there's a possibility we can nick something today. I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1, yeah. You see, and
I take that.
Well, I take your arm off for 1-1.
1-1.
In Canada's last 13 meetings with European teams, they haven't scored more than once. That's all I'm saying.
That's like what the Stan used to say, we don't play well in May or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. It's not as
Sonny Marsh hadn't scored in March.
There's no. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was the set. Yeah. There's no real reference point here. Like the only meeting of these two sides is in the 2014 Cyprus Cup.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah.
So you remember it. So it's very hard to judge. But I don't think there's too much to fear from Canada.
Yeah.
Now you have Christine Sinclair, who's trying to break the record of scoring in the most number of World Cups in a row. 6 World Cups.
I know.
The Brazilian Martha as well is also trying to get that in this tournament.
Did I say it's the 324 caps she's got for Canada?
190 goals.
90 goals.
She missed the penalty against Nigeria, but as Kathleen's saying, no guarantee that she starts even, especially with Fleming back, because they could get each other's way. And also because Sinclair's 40 years old.
Yeah. Aside from the fact that Fleming's come back in, they didn't score against Nigeria, and we have a tight defence. What do
we feel on that note about Vera Pauw yesterday, saying that listen, they're good players, but they're not the quickest defence.
About Canada.
About Ireland.
Oh, about Ireland, yeah. That was.
I think that was justification.
That's just
of
reality,
right? It wasn't a defence mechanism.
True. You're absolutely right. But could you not? Is there another way to? I felt it was a bit clumsy.
Do you think she's clumsy or too candid for public consumption?
Both, probably. I mean, it's reality. Everybody's acutely aware of it. Do you need to repeat it in front of the media?
I'd say she says it in front of the players at training.
Probably
not the fastest defence.
I wouldn't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But saying it in front of the media felt a bit trap-esque.
Maybe.
Everybody's aware that managers will paint their own reality to make themselves look as good as they possibly can, right? And they'll be delivering subtle messages all over the place in press conferences and whatever else. That's just the way it goes, post-match interviews. But I just think something
could be mind games.
Felt to me a bit clumsy.
Could be mind games, Adrian.
But it's true.
Oh, it's definitely true. It's definitely. There's no doubt that the lack of pace at the back is a bit of a concern. A few of the comments coming in on YouTube, of course, starting off with the jerseys. Terry Kelly says, "Morning lads, love the shirts. Think Cullum's shirt is the one of the nicest ever."
Oof.
Steve McCarthy says, "Adrian wins the jersey war." Cahill Doherty, "I like Adrian's jersey as it is the same age as Cullum."
I don't think so.
I would say it's slightly
10 years older.
It's Giles territory.
Yeah.
Cahill, come on. We haven't put your glasses on this morning.
Cahill or Cahill
this morning.
Cahill Doherty, let us know in the comments. Are you Cahill or Cahill?
Well, one thing we can be sure of, he'll be Cahill.
He'll be.
Now established this before that the name is actually Cahill.
You're Cahill Doherty. I do know.
Unless you come from the.
It's Cahill Doherty and Monaghan, who's from Donegal, and I think he'd agree with me that it's Cahill Doherty.
Well, unless you're from Ulster, I would say you're Cahill.
Okay, that's the cut-off point.
That would be my.
Sorry, do you know what?
Fine.
On that, speaking of Donegal, Enda Call, former colleague, used to say Meath.
Yeah, no,
that's mental.
That would be an Ulster thing.
No, it's not. No.
It's in the same way that Mexicans like ourselves say Tyrone.
Yeah, but that's outrageous.
Do you say Tyrone or Tyrone?
It's Tyrone.
It's Tyrone, yeah.
I know that Tyrone people go. They just do CHRONE.
Yeah, Tyrone.
Yeah,
it's Tyrone if you're from there. But Meath, no, I'd never say Meath.
It's a very, very soft TH. Where is he going with Meath?
I'm not sure everyone in Donegal does that.
I'll ask Lachlan Hart.
Yeah, we'll find out. Carl Daly says 10 p.m. kick-off here in Sydney on a school night too. So that'll be 8 p.m. local time in Perth. Kick-off. 1 p.m. Irish time for the kick-off for that game. John Buckley bringing us back down to earth. Ireland never looked like scoring against Australia.
No, I agree with it for large parts, but right at the end, McCabe has that chance.
Yeah.
You know, when she has to put it onto her, shift it onto her right foot. Louise Quinn's glancing header. Also, when McCabe puts Kira Carusa through in the first half after 20 minutes, if Carusa reads that ball better, she's through. But look, largely, we didn't create enough chances.
But also the quality of opposition. So come on, like it's not like you're.
Well, I know, but we didn't proactively do enough. I don't think, and I do think McCabe has wasted that deep. Personally,
there would have been if we hadn't clumsily given away a penalty, we wouldn't be that worried about not being gung ho in our approach.
I still think it's been disappointing.
Rubber Ducky makes a good point. He says everybody involved are adults. The team don't need to be mollycoddled. Facts are facts. If you're slow, you're slow. I think that's fair.
Well, are also is Vera Pauw so confident that she's like, I don't mind saying this to her opponents.
I think in the middle of a World Cup, as I said, I'm not disputing the veracity of what she's saying. It's true. But I just think in the middle of a World Cup, there's a subtlety to your language. Are the players looking at that going, oh, that's great, thanks, Vera, that's...
I don't think the players care.
I think the players are looking at that going, Jesus, would you do us a favour, like... You know, like, I know she's also complimenting them by saying they're very good players. And as I said, the pace thing is obvious. It's been there for long enough, we're all aware of it. But just think there's another way of saying it.
Plenty of comments coming in. Evan Morahan, good friend of mine from Monaghan, is watching in from, I think, Sydney.
Evan Morahan from Monaghan.
He's actually from Monaghan. His father's from Lewisburg and Mayo, so that's where the name comes in. Shout out to you, Evan, and all the lads watching in Australia ahead of the game tonight, I guess, where the lads are. That 10 p.m kick-off in Sydney, I guess that's difficult for fans over there. Michael says, I'm enjoying the World Cup so far. Standard is good, so Ireland face a challenge. Wish them all the best today. Everyone's wondering who's your daddy went and enjoyed his Holliers. There's a few of those comments to that effect. Of course, Ger came back last week and bronzed God.
Bronze Adonis.
Yeah,
and I'm just an Adonis, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Freckled Adonis.
You don't need it.
No, I need to wear a factor 50. And also, where I was in France, I'd our former colleague, now producer of the Pat Kenny show, Sue Murphy, who popped her head around the corner earlier on to welcome me back and give me a dig in the ribs, was on to me saying, oh, could you come on and talk about the oppressive heat in Europe? And it was overcast and 20-25 degrees mostly, so
fair.
I tell you where you won't get a colour at the moment.
I know you're going to go.
Perth.
Oh, the producer always does the segue. When the presenter won't do it, the producer will do it.
No.
Kathleen McNamee, live from Perth. Good morning, good afternoon.
Afternoon, guys. Yeah, I thought my arm was about to fall off there listening to you chat about different things, but it's absolutely lashing rain in Perth at the moment. I don't know if you can see it. I'm just at the fan festival. Behind me, we have a game ongoing. Lots of Irish fans here, actually. I think I've only seen about 3 or 4 Canadian jerseys. A couple of Canadian fans have walked in and then just walked straight out again. So safe to say the Irish are definitely taking over Perth at the moment.
Is the rain a good thing for us? So I'm going to try and stretch it to that.
Probably suit us better. It could lead to like a game that was a little bit more all over the shop, which may not be a bad thing. It's not a good thing for me because I have to sit in it for 2 hours. But yeah, I think it's supposed to stop by the time the game stops this evening. The pitch was covered over for most of yesterday, so I assume it's the same today to protect it from the rain. So I actually don't think it's going to make that mad of a difference. It's been absolutely lashing all morning here.
Sorry, temperature-wise, did you say, is it cool? You said it was cool yesterday.
Yeah, it's cold. It's like a kind of classic Irish summer day here at the moment, except it's the middle of the winter for Australia.
Has Perth livened up a touch, or has it still, I guess, close to the kick-off, you expect it to liven up a little bit?
A little bit. Like, I'm at the fan festival now, so obviously you're talking to people who are actually here because of the match, so there's definitely a bit more of an atmosphere. I was in an Irish bar last night and there was a good atmosphere around the place, but also a lot of people who didn't even know the World Cup was happening. So of all the cities I've been to, I feel like Perth maybe hasn't fully caught up with the World Cup vibe. We were talking to some Perth Glory fans who were saying though that the stadium here is actually a really, really good football stadium. It's quite small. And because of that, it means that the crowds that they get are generally only 8,000 or 9,000 for their A-League games over here. So a lot of the local fans actually bought tickets because they just want to see what the stadium is like full and what the atmosphere will be like with the Irish fans. So it should be good crack later. I'm also making my Australian TV debut later on. I'm going to be on the World Cup coverage right here. So yeah, I might not come back, lads. I might stay over here.
Yeah.
Can you hand in your notice on air? This is unprecedented.
This is what's happening.
Kathleen, I was listening to you on the World Cup show yesterday with Sinead O'Carroll and Will O'Callaghan. You were hoping for a 2-1 win against Canada, but you're a bit more pessimistic now that you've slept on it. Anything changed?
I mean, in my heart, I would love a 2-1 win, but I don't think it's going to be that. I think they'll probably be 2-1 to Canada. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. That's the thing. Like, we know we have a proven goal scorer on the bench, but if we had a proven goal scorer that we knew Vera was going to play, I think things would be a little bit different. But I think with the way the weather is at the moment and the conditions that there probably will be, it's going to be difficult either way to get that goal. And I've actually upgraded my World Cup hopes of us getting out of the group to us actually scoring a goal at some stage. I was listening to you talk before, and I think it was someone wrote in to say Ireland didn't look like scoring a goal at any stage against Australia. I don't think that's fair or true. I think the last 10-15 minutes between the McCabe chance and the Quinn chance, we did look like scoring a goal. But I will totally accept that for the rest of the game we didn't look like scoring all that much. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Is there a chance, Kathleen, that some of the suggestions this morning, I'm looking at the sun here in front of me saying that Abby Larkin will start today, is there a chance that Amber Barrett goes through the group stages here without seeing a minute's play?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to a couple of the lads here that work for the PFA, and they were saying something similar, that they actually don't reckon that Amber is going to get any minutes, which doesn't make any sense at all. But we had said this from the minute the team was picked, we were like, we're stressing over this 23, even though we know realistically Vera is probably only going to play between 13 and 15 players throughout the entire tournament. I don't think she's the sort that's going to just give players minutes either, just for the sake of it. So it's disappointing, because I think, especially in a game like today, if it's 20 minutes from the end, we haven't scored, we need a goal, why not put on Amber Barrett? We need a result tonight, and we don't really want to be going into the final game depending on other teams to get a result to make sure that we go through. So I'm all for putting her on, but I will see what Vera does. I'm not all that optimistic about her.
Yeah, I agree. I think as you say, Vera is not someone to give a cap to someone just for the sake of it, but I think if there's 20 minutes left, 15 minutes left, and Ireland are a goal down, the whole country will be screaming at the TV saying, this isn't an Amber Barrett cap for the sake of it. This is an Amber Barrett cap because we need a bloody goal. So I don't know, Vera Pauw, if we lose each of these games in the group by a goal, or we draw one of the games and we end up not qualifying, Vera Pauw is going to be under serious heat for not bringing on Amber Barrett, I'd imagine.
I think so, and I think she has proven herself in the sense that, after not playing for those 6 months after that big night in Scotland and Hampden Park, and then coming on for those warm-up games and performing the way she did, and showing once again that when she puts her mind to it, she can score goals. I mean, she scored one of our only goals from open play in the last year. Well, actually, 2 of our only open goals from open play in the last year or so. So it's kind of frustrating as to why she's not getting that chance all that much. I mean, Vera's been very coy on it whenever she has been asked, and said that it's tactical reasoning. And I mean, we all know that she likes her players to be runners, and she likes them being able to sorry, I got distracted by the match that's going on in the background for me there. I thought it was a goal. We know that she likes those athletic style players, but Amber has proven that she works well in getting us a goal, so why not give her that shot?
Kathleen, the referee's decision after VAR checks now is being heard by the whole stadium, which is something I haven't seen before, and it's a very good TV product for the viewer, but does it translate to actually being in the stadium?
Not massively from what I've seen. Generally, it's kind of a bit muffled and hard to make out, so you're kind of relying on the information that you're getting through online rather than what you're actually hearing in the stadium. But as you say, it's a good TV product, and I think there's some things that they still need to work out a little bit with it, but I think if they keep developing it, they'll be a really, really good addition.
You'd wonder, there's comments of modicums of positivity coming in. A lot of people on the Amber Barrett stuff as well. Ashing Enright says, crazy if Barrett doesn't get time on the pitch. Shane says, 0-0 draw. Just hope we don't have Louise Quinn playing the Shane Duffy role again while Amber Barrett remains on the bench. That's the thing as well. It
won't be crazy that she doesn't get a minute if we end up winning the game 1-0.
Yeah,
right?
look.
So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves with the Amber. I was certainly one of the people looking at the game the last day going, bloody hell, give her a chance. But let's see what happens today.
Yeah, well, it was interesting yesterday because Kira Caruso was actually asked yesterday by one of the journalists, how would you feel if Louise Quinn took your position? Because obviously she was moved up the pitch for those final few minutes in Sydney. And Kira kind of laughed it off a little bit, but then was like, in all seriousness, we know as a team that Louise is the sort of player who can get goals in these crunch moments with her head in that way. So It's kind of funny that even the team have low-key accepted that that's the only way we are going to get goals, when in reality you would think that, you know, there is a lot of other possibilities. I mean, it's like Vera going into the team at half-time and telling them that the game is going to be decided by either an Australian mistake or an Ireland mistake. Like, when a game is that much in the balance, why aren't you saying to the team, you know, this is a great opportunity to make, you know, a little bit of history for ourselves. It's all in the balance. Let's go for it. Don't be putting it in their heads they're going to make a mistake. So I feel like everyone has been listening to Vera for a long time, and maybe some of the messages are starting to kick in a way that they shouldn't, and that it's a negative way of looking at the games and a negative style of playing, I think, which is always the Vera's thing. But we're at a World Cup. Like, try something at the end of the day.
I kind of tend to agree. Like that thing of waiting, you know, even if you're going to go and win this game, it's going to be an Australian mistake. That's quite reactive. Like, go and do it. Do you know, I don't like to hear things in a halftime team talk. This is going to be decided by either a mistake by us or a mistake by Australia, because that means we can't just go out and win the game.
But, yeah, like, I've talked to so many players since then, and they've all said the exact same thing. They're like, the minute your coach says that, you have in your head about making a mistake. And like, whether you try to or not, it's subconsciously there. So, like, I don't understand tactically what she was doing. I mean, a lot of us weren't even at that press conference because we were at the mixed zone after the game. But I wish more of us had been, so you could kind of properly quiz her on what she was talking about.
Kathleen, I'm interested in when you were talking a bit about sort of sleepy Perth there, right? And like 76,000 at the opener against Australia, the buzz, the hype, like full on Broadway, right? And there is a bit of and I was looking at some of the numbers that FIFA have put out about the domestic audience for the game, off the charts. Like, it was very much centre of the universe at that time. It's a World Cup, but there is a bit of an off-Broadway feel about this, and you're going to a ground, is it 25,000, is it just over 20,000 at the game today? Is there a bit of a, I'm not saying it's a come down, it's a World Cup, it's off the charts, right, in that regard, but like, it's not the glitz of the first game. So is there something in that for the players to have to manage themselves almost?
I don't even know if it's so much that far. People are just leaving now because the game is finished, all off for a few points or something, I imagine. I think it's probably more actually the time between the games rather than how long or how it's like in Perth today. Like, I was chatting to Rihanna Jarrett earlier, and she was saying she was at the team hotel this morning and that the team just want to play this game. It's been such a long time since last week, and like, there was obviously massive build up to, like you were saying. And then the fact it's an 8 o'clock kickoff as well. She said that the players are just like, let us just get out onto the pitch. I think, like, for them, because they were in Brisbane and then over to Perth, it's fine. Sorry about that, Chris. Sorry, calls started coming in, which sent me off. And because it was in Brisbane first and then they came over to Perth, I think they've kind of had that time in the busier city, and I imagine the downtime hasn't been the worst thing in the world. Like, you walk around Perth and there's still like Irish jerseys to be seen, and probably for them maybe a little bit more anonymity than they would have had in Sydney. You know, they're being stopped anytime they left their hotel in Sydney for autographs and stuff, so not necessarily a bad thing having a little bit of more chill time here before heading back to Brisbane.
What's the Canadian outlook towards Ireland? Bev Priestman was saying yesterday, a lot of respect for Ireland, they work hard and all that, but she said, I hope our quality shines through. Do they feel like Ireland aren't much of a footballing threat?
Yeah, I think so. Like, there was a bit of consternation yesterday after Bev Priestman's comments, and she kind of rolled them back a bit when she was like, oh, Ireland are all passion and heart, but basically Canada are quality. We had Carmelina Moscato on the Quick Gig podcast yesterday, which, like, all users can get wherever they normally get their podcasts. And she used to play for Canada, was in 3 World Cups, you know, won a CONCACAF title, Olympic bronze medal. And she was saying that this team was like really, really disappointed with that result against Nigeria. And because of all the ongoing stuff with their federation back home, they really, really want to get a result. And they've obviously targeted the likes of Katie McCabe, Denise O'Sullivan, and they think they're going to be able to nullify them. And they're going to have Jessie Fleming back as well for this match, which is absolutely massive for them. Like, it's the equivalent of us not having Katie or Denise for the first game and then coming back for the second game. So yeah, they're feeling quietly confident. One of the battles they were saying that they're looking forward to is Katie and Ashley Lawrence. Ashley Lawrence just signed for Chelsea before the World Cup and is a really, really good player. Normally plays on the opposite wing to Katie, but they reckon that Bev Priestman might switch her over to kind of take her out a little bit.
Jesus, I've got the appetite whetted now. It's a build up nicely. Kathleen, listen, enjoy the game, and no doubt people can keep up to date on the Off the Ball social channels and your own Twitter as well for updates. But enjoy the build up and the match itself.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.